Hello, friends. Welcome to Defrost Seattle. I am Margaret Elizabeth.
And I'm Rafael Rodriguez.
And we are here with Brenda Reese. Welcome, Brenda.
Thank you.
Brenda is a forgiveness coach. She has been doing this for 8 years. She is amazing. She has so much experience helping so many people around the subject of forgiveness. We're also going to talk today about grudges. So before we get started, we like to ask people about their experience with the Seattle freeze. Is this something that you've experienced since you've lived in Seattle?
No, I haven't. I haven't experienced it, and I don't know why. I don't know why. Some people do and some don't, but it's not something that I have experienced. I've heard about it, especially from people who haven't lived here and they move here. But other than that, I haven't really experienced it. But, I spend a lot of my time on the east side. And so I guess, I'm so outgoing. If people ignore me, I guess I just kind of say, okay, whatever.
Right? And that is some people's experiences. Not everybody experiences the Seattle freeze.
Yeah.
I find that people that are really outgoing, they tend to just overcome, anybody who may be a little standoffish or cliquish. So that's definitely, I think, a thing. So I know that a lot of my friends that have lived here their whole lives don't really notice. But since I'm from originally from California, and I know you're from Brazil.
Yes, I'm from Brazil.
So sometimes when we come from other areas, it can be a little more noticeable. Anyways, we are so excited to share with you guys a little bit more information about forgiveness. And tell me a little bit about grudges. Let's maybe start there.
Yes. So a lot of people talk about resentments or grudges using that word interchangeably. And in relationships especially, right, we can hold grudges because we get hurt, people hurt our feelings. And what I like to do is I like to talk about what a grudge is. Because a grudge, if you think about it, like we can hold on to it. It's a grudge is an identity that we take on. So a grudge is more like I'm the wronged one. Right?
Okay.
I'm the wronged one. So I take on an identity. And that identity has a power and a strength to it because it feeds my anger and my victimhood. Things are happening to me, right? Mm-hmm. And so when things happen to us, we hold on to them. And then we get fed, right? Mm-hmm. Because society are like, oh, poor baby, this happened to you. And I'm not saying that things don't happen to us. They do, but it's how we look at it. So a grudge is actually, it's almost like a boulder that sits in our heart and in our gut. And what it can do is it disconnects us from our hearts, it disconnects us from other people, it disconnects us from life itself. And so we think that it's an okay thing to hold on to that grudge, but what it's doing is hurting us because it's keeping us from living our life. It's taking our energy away. And people will feel this because pretty soon if you hold on to it for long enough, what happens is that it shows up physically. And in my research, when I started the forgiveness work, I found out in Aramaic, forgiveness means to untie the knot. Well, how many, right, of us feel that knot?
Right.
You know what I mean? If you think of somebody, or if somebody hurts you, it's like you feel physically ill, or you're stressed, or you get the headaches. We feel it in our bodies. Mm-hmm. And so knowing what a grudge is super helpful to help us let go of them, because it's not the other person feeling it.
Yeah,
it's us.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
And I think it's also important to try and understand why we are keeping grudge for some people, if it's because of jealousy, if it's because we feel left out, or if it's because we feel that someone did something wrong to us, or that we've reached our limit. And I think that's very important.
Right, taking a look at the reasons behind.
The reasons, and a lot of it is because we want to be right.
Yes.
Not saying that we haven't been hurt. I'm not discounting that because, forgiveness isn't about condoning bad behavior, right? It's not saying that, oh, it's okay for you to be unkind to me, right? And it's not saying that a hurt hasn't happened. That's important to know. That's not forgiveness. Right? It's really important to know because what we can do, because what forgiveness is taking our power back.
Right.
Right? So if I'm angry with somebody like X, You know, we have grudges with exes, right? You
That's
know,
very common,
and
yeah.
it is, and parents, a lot of that. But you know, if I'm holding that, it's not hurting them, but I'm giving them all of my energy. They are actually having control over my emotions and my thoughts.
Yeah, it's like drinking poison and wishing the other one to die.
Perfect.
Right. And I've heard this saying is like, I'm not going to let that person rent space in my head.
Yes. Exactly, and that's a perfect thing, because don't let them rent space in your head.
Right.
However, we have to get to the why we
Right.
want to hold it. Why do I want to hold that?
Right.
You know,
Right.
feeling. What
And
is it feeding?
It's so toxic for you, and I think it's so important is to let go,
Yes.
so that you can get that out of your
Yes.
system.
But it's hard to let go. I get that. It's hard to let go when we have been victimized. And you know, when we feel that, because it has been. So another thing is about forgiveness is not saying that a hurt hasn't happened. But the one thing I hear a lot of is, I can't forgive because I'll never forget. I'll never forget. And almost viciously, it's kind of like, well, oh, honey, you know, well, wait, if you're not gonna forget. We have a computer here that remembers everything in our lives, everything. But what the forgiveness work can do is take the sting out of that circumstance or that behavior or that situation. So you don't forget it, but you can look at it with neutrality.
Right. So you're forgiving and letting go, but you don't forget. So because I think
Right.
people don't want to make the same mistake again. I
Right.
think that's one of the big things is that, you know, they say, fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, or no,
Yes.
so fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me.
Yes, exactly.
And I think that's the whole, I don't want to forget because I don't want to
Yeah.
be fooled again. I don't want
Exactly.
to be tricked again.
I don't want to be tricked again.
Right.
And, you know, and that's okay as long as you're not doing it to a detriment. Right?
Sure.
Because we can block, and we talk about the freeze, we can block ourselves from the lightness of people. We can block ourselves from the goodness. We can miss that person we're waiting for because we're so protecting our heart.
And
Right.
then people start having like resentment because I don't feel accepted by that group, so like that group is bad because
I
and
know.
wish them I wish they don't have any fun because like they didn't invite me.
Well, exactly, when they're not invitable.
Yeah.
You know, when they're
Right.
not opening. And that's another part about forgiveness that I like, because learning to take responsibility for our own feelings, taking responsibility for our own. That one's tough. I spent my life being a victim. I really did. I spent my life so codependent, tell stories later, about just giving myself away, right? And just really living my exes, living their dreams, living their visions. And after I got divorced and was doing the forgiveness work, my ex, we were having lunch one day because we're able to have a friendship now, which is amazing.
Yeah, right.
And he said, you know what? I'm so happy to see the you that I had married. Because he said, because you became a doormat.
Right.
And I didn't take offense at that because I had become a doormat in that codependence. And I learned a lot. But that was powerful for me.
Yes.
You
I see
know?
that.
Yeah, to be able to not be that, to be able to stand up for myself. So it's taking responsibility for my feelings and my choices. And maybe, just maybe, I had something to do with it.
Right.
Too, right? Maybe it wasn't
Yeah.
just the other person. And that's the tricky part about forgiveness work, is we have to be willing to look at it a little bit differently and take that responsibility. Because forgiveness is also a trainable skill, and forgiveness is a choice.
Yes, and you teach people how to forgive and how to let go.
Yeah,
And
and
what a great gift that you give to people. That's wonderful.
Thank you. Yeah, I enjoyed it because it's changed my life.
And I can, because I'm dating, I meet a lot of men who've been divorced who seem really bitter. They are bitter. They're holding on to that negative energy from their marriage. And I have to be really honest, those men that I meet like that, I'm not interested because I see it. I can see this, what they're holding on to, and I don't want to be in that relationship with, these feelings that they haven't released.
Well, yeah, it's like being in a relationship with ghosts,
With the
right?
ghosts,
You've got the ghosts. You've got the
Exactly.
ghosts around you, and that's a really good thing to know, that you're not willing to do that, because there's work there that can be done, and of course it's a choice. And and so people that are willing to, I think they jump into relationships too quickly, because they're trying to fill that hole, but that hole needs to be filled with them first.
Yes, and I did learn that myself the hard way.
Yes, we all do. And unfortunately, it's the human nature, I think, that we all have to learn the hard way. It's unfortunate, but I'm trying to figure that one out. How can I make this easier, to do? But there's always something to learn. We are complex beings.
If we could only learn from other people's mistakes.
Yeah. Well, wise people learn from other people's mistakes.
Right.
They do.
Yeah. But pain is a very good teacher too.
Yes.
So.
Pain is a
for sure.
motivator for sure.
Yeah.
Well, it did. And after my last divorce, because that was my third, it was kind of like, maybe it's not their fault. Maybe I'm the common denominator, and maybe I could, because I can do something about that. I can't do anything with them, but I can do something with me.
Oh, that's
And that's what got me onto the forgiveness path. I didn't know I needed forgiveness, but I did.
But then you learned.
The first couple years were rough.
Yeah. That is so good. So I wanted to ask you about some extreme cases. So let's talk about, there's those situations where it may, forgiveness is always important in step one, but some people have such traumatic experiences with someone that might cause them post-traumatic stress, say, and because they did something that was maybe illegal or just extremely, unethical or bad.
Yes.
So in these situations, how does one who may need to interact with that person in their life, maybe it's a relative that did some harm to them, how do one go about dealing with that situation?
Well, yeah, so there's a piece of it when you look at all these, like Stanford Forgiveness Project, and what forgiveness is and isn't, and they do that. And then one of the big things is that you do not have to reconcile. A lot of people believe that you have to reconcile with the offender or with the person that hurt you. You do not have to. Now, in cases where people feel that they have to, like it's at work or it is in a family situation, they feel like they have to, right? Or it's an ex that you have kids together.
Right.
Okay, so there's something there. And so if it's not any of those categories, it's a little bit easier. Yet, if it is in those categories and they really hurt you, then this is the boundary setting. There's a couple things here. One is the forgiveness is for you. It's not for the other person. And a lot of my clients do not participate in their family functions anymore because they were willing to do the forgiveness work, which is powerful. It brings you clarity, right?
Right.
So it was important for them, but the other people weren't changing. I had several with the parents, like the mom or the dad, that were just vicious, or the sibling, vicious. And they made a choice because they got to the point where they could, before they thought they had to. I have to be there. And it's like, no. And then if you feel like you can separate yourself from that. It's a hard one. I'm not saying this is easy.
Right.
But it's a hard one, but really it's about saving yourself. It really is about protecting and saving you, because like Brene Brown's boundary definition is just, it's what's okay and what's not okay.
Right.
It's not okay for you to treat me that way. Why do we think that family has a right to do that? Why do we do that? Right? Where we wouldn't, a stranger on the street, if they treated us that way, we wouldn't allow that. And so it's learning to be more clear about ourselves, our values, what's right and what's okay and what's not okay with me inside, right?
Yeah,
I had to learn to not be a doormat. I had to learn, what are my values? What do I stand for? No, I'm not going to say yes when I really want to say no. And it's a process, but this is important to note. And then the other part at work. So there is a way to be there, standing in your sovereignty, right, in your integrity, and not putting yourself around those people. It's tougher.
So if you work with them, you are there, but you try not to get pulled into, say, maybe their negative comments.
Yes, and because you can have some grace there. You can be cordial without engaging.
Yes.
And it's a way, but the thing is that we have a hard time doing it because we are still emotionally charged, right? They've hurt me. So that's the piece. We work on ourselves first. Then we get to set the boundaries, because I have to set my internal boundaries first before I can set external boundaries.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. I love that.
Yeah.
So we're doing the forgiveness for ourselves.
Yes.
We are setting our boundaries,
Yeah.
but there's boundaries we need to work on internally, ourselves first,
Right.
and then work with setting boundaries with other people.
And I mean, there's
that are
you
maybe
know,
toxic.
Yeah,
Keeping them-
exactly.
keeping
But
them
there
at
is a
arm's
way. I want people to know. I want you to know that there is a way to do it. We're not stuck. We feel stuck, and we say, "I have to. I have to." That's what I hear a lot. I have to.
Right. Well, if you guys want some more deep dive on this forgiveness work, which is so important, so many people struggle with this, Brenda has a 6 weeks course.
Yeah.
Coming up?
Yes. Yeah. I just got the date today, so it's starting on June 21st. And it's going to be a 6-week, once a week course. It's a self-forgiveness course called Freedom Through Forgiveness.
Ooh,
and it'll be up on my website over the next few days to sign up for.
And your website is?
Brenda Reis, REISS, coaching.com.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, we'll make sure to put the link in the description.
Yeah, we'll put the link below. You guys, be sure to go down. If you like these episodes and you're getting some information out of this about relationships and how to strengthen your relationships, be sure to like and comment below. Also, we have some really fun events coming up. There's a blind wine tasting in Woodinville, so be looking for this one coming up. The First Responders, Dancing with the First Responders event is going to be launched here probably in the next few weeks. Those tickets will be going on sale, so take a look out for that. And I'm so grateful you guys could be with us this evening, and I hope you guys have a lovely evening. Bye, friends.
Yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.